Hi there, I am at Doug Onstall's Bank Farm today with Richard Small from Inspro, and we're here because Growing Kent and Medway recently announced the winners of their Business Sustainability Challenge, and Richard was one of the winners, so congratulations for that. And that is to support a trial looking at the effects of black soldier fly frass on leafy green vegetables.
Yes.
So do you want to tell us a little bit more about who Inspro are and what the project is?
We formed Inspro in 2017. We are bioconverting food waste using black soldier fly. We chose black soldier fly over other insect types. We chose feed instead of food. We're not trying to encourage people to eat insects. And we've been doing that for a number of years based on grants and some sales. We've been working with Doug on the farm, his regenerative farm, for a number of years, and that's been very helpful. The Growing Kent and Medway grant is just one of several grants that we've had, but a very useful one nonetheless. Unlike the others, which have studied the bioconversion process and the larvae as feed, this one is studying the frass, which is the poo from the black soldier fly, because this has certain beneficial advantages. It has an NPK similar to farmyard manure. There's some micronutrients there. There's a plant stimulant there in the form of chitin, and there's an insect deterrent in there. With the benefit of that grant, which we frankly wouldn't have done without the grant, so we're very pleased to have the funding. We are working with smallholders, a dozen smallholders in the Kent area. Because of the grant, we're able to give them a kit, which is a tray in which you put substrate, which is what the bugs eat. You put a bottle of neonates, which is just hatched black soldier fly larvae, onto there. You leave that for a week. That's warmed up with a heat mat in a tray to 27 degrees. And then after a week, you'll see the bugs all moving around. And then after another week, they're usually big enough to be fed to a chicken. But the interesting bit in our case, once you've sieved them, is the frass.
So this trial has the potential to demonstrate an additional purpose for black soldier fly larvae. So you've already established that they're great as chicken feed, and you can essentially turn food waste into eggs via black soldier fly larvae. But if their frass, their poo, can be used as a kind of fertiliser or insect repellent, biostimulant, then that's a bonus on top.
Exactly right. So there's two outputs from our process. One is the larvae, one is the frass. And therefore, to your point, if we can get frass to have a recognised commercial value, which it does, but we've got to prove it in order to make the market, then that is only going to help our case.
And in terms of safety, which is something that people always are concerned about when it comes to anything that's involved in the food system, and rightly so, what work are you doing outside of what we're doing on the farm?
The concerns about using bugs and using food waste can be things that are around salmonella or E. coli, both of which we test for, heavy metals, which we are going to be testing for. If we're going further, we could do microplastics and PFAS, but we're perfectly capable of doing those sort of tests within the process. So we're seeking that we're not putting undesirable things back into the soil and back into the plants.
And if I'm right, black soldier fly larvae live have already been approved for feed for chickens and for pigs. Is that right?
The legislation lags the industry a little bit, and the UK lags Europe a little bit. But in the UK, we can feed live larvae to chickens, and we can feed live larvae to pigs. We can feed live and processed larvae to fish. And we can feed exotic pets, and we can feed wild birds. So there's quite a range, all of which have been approved and checked and tested. The challenge is that when black soldier fly meal is imported from other countries, you actually don't know what they've been fed on or anything about it. So there is a suggestion that in some countries human waste is used, animal waste is used. These things are not allowed. We're not allowed to feed animal byproducts, so we're very strict within the rules within the UK, but our industry does get undercut by cheap imports, the origin of which is not very clear. So that safety aspect is really important, and what we're talking about with the black soldier fly group in the UK is getting a sort of industry standard together and say, well, this is UK stuff, it's done to a bit like a red tractor, it's done to this standard and you can trust this.
And I have to ask this question, have you ever eaten any?
I have eaten them. They're not the natural go-to insect as food rather than feed. They lend themselves. We selected them because they're a natural feed. Therefore, you feed them to a chicken or a fish, and then eat the chicken or the fish. I have eaten them. They're barbecue flavored. Frankly, once they've been fried and barbecued, they taste of anything anyway. I eat mealworm meal on my breakfast every morning, so I am practicing what I'm preaching in terms of consuming insects.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Richard, and congratulations once again on being one of the winners of the Business Sustainability Challenge.
Thank you very much.